So hey guys, that was the obviously part of the theme song to the Charlie Brown theme song or the Peanuts theme song. This is my Charlie Brown pop vinyl. I collect some pop vinyls, and I thought it'd be appropriate to bring my Charlie Brown one to the review for you. So I know this review's kind of late, you guys. I know this movie came out, a week ago, but things got busy, things got booked. So I guess you could say that. So that's why this review's a little later than planned. But I am going to review the Peanuts movie for you today. In this film, you guys, it's kind of a film of three plots in a way, and I'm going to try to give it to you in the best non-spoiler way I can. And basically, in this film, Charlie Brown, the neighborhood is exactly the way you remember it from the comic strip or from the TV show, depending on how you grew up on the Peanuts or maybe just the TV specials like the Christmas special or the Halloween special. And he has a new girl that moves into the neighborhood, and it's a little red-haired girl that those of you might remember from like the Valentine's Day special and It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown, I think is what the other one was called. Um, so basically, he immediately develops a crush on her. So they kind of reintroduce this character into this movie. And so throughout the movie, he's trying to figure out how to introduce himself, how to, kind of impress her in a way to kind of let her be intrigued with him, so they can, hopefully become friends and things like that. All that also while that's going on, Snoopy has a pretty big role in this film. There's kind of a whole subplot regarding him that happens in his imagination, where he thinks he's fighting the Red Baron as the flying ace. That those who remember him that doing that, it's where he's on his doghouse and he thinks he's this fighter pilot. So he thinks he has this fight going on with the Red Baron, and it's also regarding a girl that he likes named Fifi, a girl dog, and basically he has to fight off the Red Baron to rescue Fifi in his imagination. So there's this whole subplot regarding that in the movie. And then another subplot in the movie that I really don't want to get into, just so for those who still want to see the movie, will kind of go in open-minded about it and not really know that much about it. But there's something that happens in Charlie Brown's school that um, let's just say affects his popularity in a way, whether that's for better or worse. You'll see in the movie. And Charlie Brown later learns that that popularity that he's getting may not be as it seems. So that's kind of my synopsis I can give you for this movie, you guys. Obviously, there's about three plots at once in a way in this movie, and that's kind of just how you got to accept Peanuts. Peanuts is just something where Snoopy would be on his own adventure, or Charlie Brown, something would be going on with him, or something would be going on with Linus throughout the episode of the special, and we just had to take it in and experience it as it is. So for my positives and negatives of the Peanuts movie, you guys, I think this is a great movie. I really think that the Charles Schulz style of animation that they kept from the TV show really helped the movie. I liked how a lot of it felt two dimensional, but they did it with 3D objects and they had 3D environments. So it's everything you would see in a normal movie today, like a normal computer animated movie. But I like how it felt two dimensional. It felt like side by side drawings, and it really felt like something that Charles Schulz himself could have made back in the day. And they also did that using today's technology to kind of enhance the eyes and the hair and make the clothing look a little bit more like real clothing and things like that. So I really liked how they had the great Schulz style of animation applied to the movie. We also had a completely new voice cast for the movie, since all the children from the original Charlie Brown specials have all grown up and they sound too different now than what they did back then. So a completely different child cast this time. All of them did it really well. I think the two that really stood out to me is just as far as keeping the spirit of these two in particular characters alive for the new movie here. I thought Linus really nailed it, and the girl they got to play the voice of Lucy really nailed it. The two of them really sounded like exactly the way you remember them from the 60s and 70s and back when Schulz himself was making all these Peanut stories. So I really like the new voice cast here. They definitely had their own take, and it was fun to see today's generation take on the voices of the Charlie Brown characters. I also like how this movie felt like a Charles Schulz story. I think it was smart of them to hire Schulz's son and grandson to write the screenplay. That's who they hired to write the screenplay for this movie. And I think that really helped the movie. I really liked how it really did feel like something that Schulz would have published in a comic, or it's something that he would have wrote for a television episode of Charlie Brown or for a TV special. There's also moments here that definitely feel in the spirit of the Christmas special or in the spirit of the Halloween special. I like how they managed to keep all that in the style of a modern day Charlie Brown movie. And going back to the TV specials, this film does reference those TV specials a lot. There's a really brief scene where Linus talks about how he hopes the little red haired girl believes in the great pumpkin, and how Charlie Brown, remembers back to that Christmas where, they helped him with the little branch and make it look like a Christmas tree, and kind of how that made him both feel good and bad. They kind of briefly cover how he felt about that. So they do reference those TV specials. I liked how this story is kind of happening shortly after those specials happen. It's still in that time period, but those stories have happened, and this is a new story for Charlie Brown. I also like the film's tone. It felt very sweet and warm and very inviting. Just a very comforting movie. It's definitely a movie where you feel welcomed into the experience. And I think the Charles Schulz fans are really going to enjoy that aspect of the movie. For my negatives of the Peanuts movie, I thought some of the flying ace scenes, when Snoopy's imagining himself as the flying ace, they felt a little too distracting after a while. I just felt more invested as the viewer with Charlie Brown, winning the affection of the little red haired girl, and the whole thing that happened with his popularity in school. I was just more invested in those two stories, and I felt with the flying ace thing, they could have done what they did with the specials, where maybe have one big scene about it and just kind of be done with it. Obviously Snoopy's a very important character to the Charlie Brown stories, but I thought they kind of overdid it a little bit with the flying ace. It kind of almost felt like they almost wanted to make the movie about the flying ace, and I don't think that's the right way to make a Peanuts movie. I wish the flying ace stuff was a little bit more off to the side, because there's definitely parts in the movie where it feels like it's more important than it should be. Another negative I had about the movie is sometimes the plot feels a little unsure of what it wants to be. Obviously, we have three pretty big subplots that feel like they could all be their own plot for their own episode or for their own TV special. And I think, like I said, I think that really comes down to they could have kept the popularity one and they could have kept the little red haired girl one, and maybe just really limit down the flying ace thing more. I think if they just made that a little bit smaller and didn't put so much attention on it, I think it would have been immediately a better film. But like I said, really great movie. Just, I'm obviously going to give this movie a rating here in a second, and you'll see why the rating is the way it is, because I do think those 2 points I just made are pretty significant nitpicks about the movie. So overall, I'm going to give the Peanuts movie an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, I really loved how they continued the Schultz style. I loved all the new voice acting they hired for the voice cast. I loved how it felt like a Charles Schultz story and how it references the TV specials. And the film's tone is very sweet and warm and very inviting to both new viewers of Charlie Brown and veteran viewers who have been with the Charlie Brown characters for so many years. But the flying ace thing, I thought they kind of overdid it after a while. I thought some of the elements of the plot felt unsure of itself of where exactly it wanted to go next. So 8.5 out of 10 for me, a very good movie. Definitely, maybe not the best animated film we got this year, but definitely an animated film that's very respectful and um, very much honoring the person who created it, Charles Schulz. And I think those who love the work of Schultz are really going to be happy with what they made here. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. I would highly recommend the movie, but go into it knowing it's not a perfect movie, but it does definitely honor and respect the work of Charles Schultz. And I think that's definitely the Peanuts film that I wanted and that what everybody else wanted as well.